Let me take you somewhere. Not physically, but in your mind. I want you to picture a man sitting in a cold, dark prison cell. Dirt under his fingernails, blood in the corner of his mouth, skin stretched tight from hunger. Outside, the world thinks he's finished, but in that silence, in that cage, he's planning. Every second, every breath, every blink is building towards something no one can see yet. That man's name? Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years locked away, but walked out not bitter, not broken, but stronger, clearer, and more dangerous than ever. And when he stepped back into the light, the world didn't just remember his name. It followed him. That's power. That's patience. That's proof that your circumstances don't define your ceiling. Your refusal to break does. And before you say, yeah, but that's Mandela, let me tell you something. Every great person you admire didn't just climb, they clawed, they bled, they faced setbacks that would have shattered 99 out of 100 people, but they weren't interested in quitting. They weren't built for mediocrity. They made decisions daily that rewired the course of history. And I need you to understand this right now, so can you. Now think about Thomas Edison, not the idea of him from school textbooks. I'm talking about the real man in his lab, working through 1,000 failed attempts to invent the light bulb. 1,000 failures. Let that number sink in. Most people give up after one. He kept going after hundreds because he wasn't chasing success. He was chasing truth. That's what made him unstoppable. And here's the thing. Edison didn't get lucky. He just stayed long enough in the fire to shape it into something useful. Your goals aren't waiting on talent. They're waiting on your tolerance for effort without reward, at least at first. So maybe right now you're tired, burned out, you've tried things that didn't work, you've sacrificed and gotten nothing back. You've helped others who forgot you. You've stayed up late and woken up early and still feel stuck. But listen to me. That's the stage every great person went through, right before everything changed. The silence before the roar, the fog before the summit. If you're feeling that, you're close. Don't turn back. Look at Oprah, born into poverty, abused, told she was unworthy. You think that kind of story ends in media, empire, billion-dollar brand, global impact? Not unless someone inside her refused to listen to the world's opinion of her worth. And that someone wasn't born with magic. She was built in pain, in silence, just like you might be right now. Now let's shift to Michael Jordan, not the icon, not the sneakers, the kid who got cut from his high school team, the teenager who cried in his bedroom, embarrassed. That moment could have ended the story, but it didn't. It became the ignition. He didn't get bitter, he got better, day by day, gym session by gym session, until he became the greatest, not because of his talent, but because of his discipline. Let that hit you. The difference between who you are now and who you're becoming is repetition, obsession, focus. This is not motivation. This is a reminder. That pain you feel, it's building you. That slow progress, it's still progress. The world doesn't clap for every rep, but the results show up when the spotlight's gone. So I want you to sit with this. The reason you haven't seen the breakthrough isn't because you're not good enough, it's because you're still in the middle of your test. And tests don't announce themselves, they just show up. So you either rise through it or you stay where you are and wonder what would have happened if you had just pushed one more day. That's part one, not because we're done, but because this is where you breathe, not stop. Just pause. Let it settle. Because part two, we go deeper, we talk about the moments no one sees, the hours behind the victories, the emotional toll behind the glory, and how every single second of struggle compounds into something unstoppable. So stay with me. This isn't hype, this is history, and now you're part of it. You're still here. that means something. Most people tap out before the real work begins, but not you. And I know maybe deep down you're still carrying the weight of past failures. Maybe it's that one decision you can't stop replaying in your head, that moment you walked away too early, or trusted someone you shouldn't have, or believed a voice, maybe even your own, that said you weren't enough. But listen carefully now. The people who made it through hell didn't do it because they never doubted themselves. They made it because they moved anyway, even when the doubt was screaming. There's a story about Theodore Roosevelt. At one point, he was told by doctors that his body was too weak, that he had a heart condition, and that if he kept pushing himself physically, he'd die young. You know what he did? He built a gym in his home. He boxed, he hiked, he rode horses. He didn't just survive, he became president. Because here's the secret: limitations are real, but submission is optional. What you accept becomes your reality. What you fight becomes your breakthrough. And maybe your fight isn't physical, maybe it's internal. Maybe your biggest enemy lives in your own head. That voice that waits till 2 a.m. to tell you it's too late to change, that you wasted too much time, that your window's closed. But if that were true, you wouldn't still feel something burning in your chest when I talk like this. That fire, that's proof that it's not too late, that it was never too late. Let's talk about J.K. Rowling. The Harry Potter story wasn't born in a castle. It was written in cafes on napkins while she was broke, depressed, and on government assistance. Publisher after publisher rejected her. They told her it wouldn't sell. That fantasy wasn't the trend. But she kept writing, she kept submitting, until one person believed, and the world followed. You know why? Because she didn't stop when it got humiliating. She didn't stop when it got lonely. She didn't stop when it got silent. She kept going, and that's what makes all the difference. So let me ask you, quietly, without judgment, how many ideas have you already talked yourself out of? How many dreams are sitting in the drafts of your mind because someone laughed, or because you failed once, or because you thought you weren't ready? Let me be the first to say it. There is no ready. There is only now. There is only what you're willing to move toward today. And if it scares you even better, that means it's real. You want to build something? You want to feel alive again? Then good. But you've got to let go of the idea that it's supposed to feel good all the time. Kobe Bryant didn't become legendary because of one game. He became who he was because of the hours no one recorded. The workouts before sunrise, the losses that made him hungrier, the obsession. You want to be exceptional. You don't need perfection, you need consistency. Even when it's boring, even when no one's clapping. You've got to believe in the invisible, in the process, in the power of showing up again and again and again, until your name is whispered in the same breath as the people you admire. Not because you're lucky, but because you refused to quit. This moment right here, it's just another rep, another breath in the climb. And trust me when I say, the mountain gets easier when you stop staring at the top and start owning every single step. Now take a breath and hold this feeling. Because in part 3, then we break the cycle, we tear down the wall between you and the future that's already waiting. Not a fantasy, but something you can feel, touch, and finally call yours. You've made it this far, and I hope you realize what that means. It means your mind is still searching for something more. It means that some part of you, maybe buried under all the tiredness, all the doubt, all the failures, is still alive. And I need you to understand this before we go any further. That part of you, that's the real you. Not the version that's worn down, not the version they tried to break, the one that's still here. Right now, listening, let's cut the noise. Let's leave behind the fantasy that life is supposed to get easier. It won't. But you can get stronger. You already are. That voice inside you that keeps pushing, even when no one is watching, when there's no applause, when there's no reward. That's the exact muscle you've been building this whole time. And the world bends to people like that. Not instantly, not loudly, but always. You want a secret? Let me give you one. There is no big break. There is no single day where everything just magically works out. What actually happens is this. One morning, after thousands of days of almost quitting, you wake up and realize something feels different. You've changed. And suddenly the things that once felt impossible are just the next step. That's what happens when you stay the course. Do you know what Abraham Lincoln went through before he became the man history remembers? Failure after failure. Public humiliation, election losses, family tragedy. And still he moved forward, not because he knew he'd win, but because he couldn't stand to let his life pass without trying. That's power, not having the answers, but having the refusal to stop asking the right questions. And maybe you don't want to be Lincoln or Mandela or Jordan. Maybe you just want to live without the constant pressure on your chest. Maybe you just want peace. Then hear this. Peace doesn't come from avoiding the fire. It comes from walking through it, from realizing it won't burn you anymore because you've been through worse and survived. It comes from knowing you can lose things without losing yourself. So where do we go from here? You've heard the stories, you've remembered the fire. Now you act, not tomorrow. Not when you're ready, today. And maybe it's not a huge leap. Maybe it's a message you send. A workout you finally finish. A journal entry that starts with, "I'm done waiting." That's all it takes. One move, because progress doesn't come from motion, it comes from momentum. Small wins that stack until your old excuses can't keep up. And if you're still wondering whether it's worth it, let me say this. The version of you who stayed through this whole thing, that version has what it takes. Not because you feel ready, but because you're still standing, still learning, still willing. That's what separates people who talk from people who change. So here's what I want you to do. If this video stirred something in you, pause, let it settle, then write. One sentence. Not for me, for you. Write how you feel right now, what you want, what hurt, what you remembered. And then come back in 3 days, read it again, and tell me what's already different. And if this video gave you something valuable, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to someone you care about, because we all need reminders sometimes, not to become someone else, but to return to who we really are. And if you want more of this realness, not motivation candy, subscribe. Because this isn't just a video, this is a reset. And if this helped you breathe deeper today, imagine what happens when you make this your mindset. Let's be honest for a second. Not everything changes because of one video, one quote, one breakthrough. You don't wake up tomorrow and suddenly all your problems are gone. But you do wake up different, a little more aware, a little more grounded, and sometimes that's enough to change the next decision and the next one, and eventually your entire life. And if you're still wondering what this was all for, this whole video, this whole journey, then let me say it plainly. It was a reminder, not of who you could be, of who you already are. You forgot. Life blurred it. Pain distorted it. Distractions muted it. But it's still there. And if this woke up even a flicker of that voice inside you, then everything we've done here matters. So here's what I want you to remember. Number one, your struggle is not your identity, it's your soil. Number two, every step you take without applause still counts. Number three, your value doesn't begin when the world recognizes you. It begins when you recognize yourself. Number four, your discipline, your focus, your pain, they are not punishment. They are proof that something in you refuses to settle. And number five, the future you want isn't waiting on the world to change. It's waiting on you to stop hesitating. This was never just about motivation. It was about activation, because truthfully, motivation fades, but awakening that stays, that echoes, that moves silently under every choice you make from this point forward. So now, if you made it here, write down how you feel right now. Write it for you. And in a week, come back to this. Read it. Rewatch this. And see what's already shifted. Until next time, stay awake, stay grounded, and never forget who you are becoming.